Okay, so this chapter, The Art of New Beginnings, it really got me thinking. We talk about new beginnings all the time, but what does that actually look like? I mean, beyond all the kind of like,
Right.
cliches. And this chapter uses a story
Yeah.
to really kind of dig into that.
It does. And it's, we talk about, oh, new job, new relationship, new city. Like intellectually, we get it.
Right.
But emotionally, that's not how it works.
Yeah. And it's never that simple.
Yeah.
So this whole idea of like, how do we carry our pasts with us even when we're trying to move forward? That's what this chapter is about.
Yeah. And I think that's where Isabel's story is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because it takes these kind of universal truths
Mm-hmm.
and makes them so relatable. So yeah, we've got Isabel.
Okay, so for those who haven't read this, let's
Great. Yes.
give them a little background here.
So Isabel's our main character.
Yeah.
And she's escaped to this desolate place
Yeah.
called the Forgotten Coast.
In the 1700s. So picture that. Like no distraction.
Just her in this wild coastline.
Yeah, it's just her.
Yeah.
And like whatever it was that sent her there.
Yeah, and that's key. That the author really emphasizes that isolation.
Yes.
It's almost like she has to face herself.
Right.
With no distractions.
Yes.
Before she can even think about building a new life.
Yeah, and then she meets this fisherman, right, who's kind of in the same boat, so to speak.
Literally.
But it's not like love at first sight.
No.
Way.
It's
this very
slow.
Yeah, slow, hesitant kind of like dance that they do.
And I think what the author does so brilliantly is convey that sense of shared vulnerability.
Yes.
Without getting too,
Right. It's not heavy-handed.
No. There's this beautiful scene where they're mending fishing nets together.
Oh, I love that scene.
And their hands brush.
Yes.
And it's just this, spark of connection amidst this very, rough, practical world that they're living in.
Yes. And I think it speaks to this whole idea that the chapter talks about.
Mm-hmm.
That new love doesn't erase the past.
Right.
But it gives you a different way of seeing it.
Yes.
And I love that. Instead of being defined by our scars, it's like we find strength in them through sharing them with somebody else.
And not just strength. I think it's also a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we need.
Yes.
Because we're not, it's like the author saying, look, you can't just outrun your baggage.
Right.
But you can choose who you share it with.
That's such a good point.
Right.
Because it's about finding someone who sees you, scars and all, and still wants to, build something with you.
Exactly.
But there's also this piece about,
Yeah.
self-acceptance, right? Like we have to
absolutely
make peace with our own pasts
Yeah.
before we can really...
And that's where I think it goes beyond just romance. It's about applying that same compassion and understanding to ourselves. We wouldn't expect a garden to flourish after a harsh winter.
Right.
Without giving it time, giving it care.
Yes.
So why do we do that to ourselves?
That's such a good point. It's like we expect to just go straight from winter into spring,
Yes.
and just be like full bloom.
Yeah.
Without acknowledging that.
Full on tulips.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And this chapter does such a good job of reminding us that new beginnings aren't about erasing the past.
Right.
It's about integrating it into who we're becoming.
Yes. And sometimes, that integration means really looking at some hard truths about choices we've made and all of that. And there's this line in here that I had to underline it.
Oh, tell me.
Because it struck me so much. It says, she realized that true forgiveness, began with herself.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Isn't that good?
It is, because it's so easy to get stuck in that blame game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We blame ourselves, we blame other people, and it keeps us so tethered to the past.
Yep.
It's like refusing to weed the garden because you're still mad at the storm that brought the weeds there in the first place.
Okay, I am loving this garden analogy because it's so true. So how do we do that? How do we start to weed out that self-blame, that tendency to get stuck in the what ifs and the should haves?
Well, and this is what I love about this chapter is that it doesn't just leave us with these big sweeping statements.
Right.
It actually gives us a tool.
Yes.
And I know you were excited about this part.
Yes. The visualization exercise.
Yes.
Okay, but this isn't just sitting in a dark room chanting affirmations. This is actually a very active process.
It is.
Of envisioning the future that you want to create.
And what I think makes it so effective is that it's not about just picturing the end goal.
Right.
Like the dream job or the perfect relationship. It's about connecting with the feelings you want to experience.
Okay, so it's more about cultivating a mindset than like checking things off a vision board.
The chapter even talks about how, Isabel, she visualizes herself laughing freely on the beach.
Yes.
And it's not about the beach.
Right.
It's about that feeling of joy.
Yes.
And lightness that she's craving.
Right.
And just by holding that feeling in her mind, she starts to shift her energy, her outlook on the future.
So, okay, how do we actually do that? Like, let's say...
Yeah, what does this look like practically?
Yeah. Like, I'm at a crossroads. I'm feeling kind of stuck. What's my first step?
So the chapter recommends finding a quiet space where you can relax, let your mind wander a little bit, close your eyes, and then just imagine yourself a year from now. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? But most importantly, how do you feel?
And I love that because you're not forcing it. You're letting it just kind of emerge.
It should feel natural. And the chapter even says, like, if you're picturing yourself a year from now and you feel stressed, that's telling you something.
Right.
Like, that's information.
It's almost like a form of self-therapy in a way.
It is.
Because you're identifying those limiting beliefs or those patterns that might be holding you back from actually embracing that new beginning.
Yes. And here's the key. Once you've identified those feelings and where they're coming from, you could start to replace them with more empowering beliefs.
Okay, so instead of saying, I'm afraid of starting over, it's like, I'm open to the possibilities that come with a fresh start.
Yes. And the more you practice visualizing yourself feeling those positive emotions, joy, confidence, peace, the more you're actually rewiring your brain to believe in the possibility of a brighter future. It's like we're planting those seeds of hope, and then we're nurturing them with intention.
And that's, I think, where the real magic is.
Yeah.
You know, when you start to
believe. The believing part, that's huge.
Yeah, you can actually grow and change.
Totally.
But it's not about, like, toxic positivity either.
Yeah, right, no.
Right, this chapter doesn't say, like, you do this visualization and then suddenly...
And then you're like, hey, happy all the time.
You're happy all the time, yeah.
Life is like rainbows.
Yeah. No, it acknowledges that there are still going to be...
It does. Absolutely. You're still going to have hard times.
Yeah. It's not like you do this and then suddenly you're immune to heartbreak.
Right. Exactly.
Or, disappointment.
And that's where I think the whole metaphor of the forgotten coast comes full circle.
Yes.
We talked about Isabel finding solace there. Towards the end of the chapter, there's this beautiful passage about how the ocean itself taught her about resilience.
Oh, I love that part where she's watching the waves crashing. And she has this realization that, just like the ocean, we can weather storms too.
Yes. We can come out stronger on the other side.
And I love how it doesn't sugarcoat it.
No.
It doesn't say like, oh, the waves are always going to be gentle.
Right.
It says,
there's going to be some rough seas.
There's going to be, You're
going to get tossed around a little bit.
Exactly. There's that line. I think I've got it marked here. It says,
oh, what is it?
She had learned that the ocean could both soothe and shatter.
Oh.
And she was no longer afraid to let its currents carry her. It's beautiful.
Isn't that?
It is.
And I think that's it. It's that balance of accepting that life's going to have challenges, but like trusting
that you've got this.
That you have the strength.
To kind of navigate them.
You don't have to be anchored in calm waters forever.
Yeah. And sometimes the calm waters are actually holding us back.
They can be stagnant.
Yes.
You need a little movement to thrive.
Yes. I love that.
Right.
So, okay, if you're out there listening and, maybe you're feeling a little seasick from the waves of change.
A little green around the gills.
Yes. Remember Isabel?
There you go.
Remember the forgotten coast? Which sounds kind of
bleak.
But it was actually a haven for her.
It was.
And that within that isolation, that process of facing herself, that's where she discovered the strength.
It is.
To build something new.
And if she could do it in the 1700s.
Oh, I know, right?
With like significantly less
resources.
Yes. Think about what we can do now.
I know. So as we kind of wrap up here, I want to leave everyone with this question. What's one small step?
Ooh, I like it.
It could even be seemingly insignificant. Yeah. That you can take today to kind of honor that art of new beginnings in your own life, whether it's like, you know, forgiving yourself for something or actually like declaring what it is you want to create.
Yes.
Remember, even the smallest ripple can create like these huge waves of change.
So true.
So go make some waves, everybody.